Hi everybody, FPL Witty here, back for another of my regular FPL videos. Hope you're well. We're back out here in the Yorkshire countryside. It's bright and breezy, fairly mild April morning. So we're out here to have a normal little 15-minute chat about FPL, have a look at what's gone by in the last game week, have a look ahead, have a quick look how my team's doing as well. So lots and lots to plan for and to think about as always. So hope you had a good week. So I'm recording this on Thursday morning on the back of game week 29, which of course was the biggest double game week of the season. We had 12 teams doubling, so a lot of people prepared in advance for that, and quite a few played their wild cards in the upcoming weeks before it just to get as many doublers as they could, and quite a lot played their bench boost as well this week. So certainly some high scores about, so I hope you had a good week. I had a green arrow this week, 3 in a row, so things are looking up, so we'll touch on that briefly later. But yeah, it was quite an eventful week. Seemed to be a lot of roulette taking place on the managerial front, apart from what was going on the pitch, because we've now lost Conte, we've lost Rodgers, and we've lost Potter. We've had old man Roy Hodgson wheeled in for a new manager bounce at Palace, and now it looks like Frankie Lampard's coming back in at Chelsea. So certainly all change on the managerial front. But yeah, on the pitch we had 12 teams doubling, as I've said. The only teams who got 2 wins were Aston Villa, who are going along great, aren't they? Ollie Watkins has now scored in his last 6 away games, and he's returned, I think, in 9 of the last 10 games. So he's certainly the man on form. There was only Callum Wilson scored more than Ollie Watkins in this game week that's just gone. So cracking stuff from Villa. 2 wins also from Newcastle. They were the highest scorers of the week as well, helped by that 5-goal performance at West Ham. So maybe David Moyes is next on the chopping block. We will see. So yeah, Newcastle and Villa were the 2 teams to get 2 wins. The only team with 2 defeats were Leicester. So things certainly not going well for Leicester down there. They're down in the bottom 3 with lots to do. Disappointment for Maddison owners, of course. But the only team who didn't score a goal across 2 games were Chelsea. They were the only team to blank twice. Disappointment there for Havertz owners, of course. And no change rather at the top, because both Arsenal and Manchester City got 4-1 wins. So a lot of people ditched their Arsenal players this week, of course, because they only had the 1 game, albeit a very attractive game against Leeds. But a lot of people ditched their popular Arsenal assets to get double game week players, and I think they largely got away with it, really. Of course, Saka was ill, so he came on for just 1 point, so that was a let-off for those who sold him, and big disappointment for those who decided to hang on to him as an elite player. But Martinelli and Ødegaard, they only got an assist as well between them. It was Jesus who wrapped the points up. So yeah, I think largely the Arsenal sellers got away with it, really, despite a 4-1 win. But Arsenal march on at the top, and at Manchester City, they matched them, also winning 4-1. De Bruyne and Grealish were the stars, I think, really, weren't they? But the big news, of course, there was that Erling Haaland was ill, so a lot of people went without Erling Haaland back in game week 28 because he was blanking, and were happy to forego that Liverpool game to try and get a range of players in who played 3 games to Haaland's 1 against Liverpool. So quite a let-off, really, because who knows what Erling Haaland could have scored in that 4-1 win. But Erling Haaland was injured, so all eyes will be on him, of course, this week as to whether or not he's back and whether we bring him back. So a bit of an escape for those who went without Haaland, and you didn't need your sofa as well. And in fact, if you'd replaced Erling Haaland for 3 games of Watkins, you'll have bagged 22 points over those 3 games as well. So certainly that worked out very well as well. So yeah, Liverpool, bit of a disappointing collapse there, and of course Klopp was upsetting all the Liverpool owners in the second game because he benched Mo Salah along with Trent and Robbo. So only 1 point for Liverpool across the double game week. So lots of disappointment there. But Manchester United and Newcastle are in the Champions League places. Rashford got the goal, of course, against Brentford after they got beat at Newcastle in the first game. And Tottenham have found yet another way to self-destruct from a winning position, conceding in the last minute. So despite Kane now getting to within 14 points of Erling Haaland's score, it was more disappointment for Spurs. So certainly quite damaging to their Champions League hopes, with Newcastle and Man United now above them. Captaincy was interesting, of course. Not a lot to choose in the end. I mean, Rashford was the most popular captain. It was Mitoma who just edged him out for the most successful popular captain, I think, really. The three Brighton mids all returned, but Rashford returned as well. And probably the only disappointments amongst the major captainers were those who had a punt on Maddison and those on Bruno Fernandes. So as always, a bit of a captain swing. I went on Rashford, so I was quite happy with that. 24-point return in the end across the two games. But yeah, the relegation scrap is hotting up as well. We've got 3 teams outside the relegation trapdoor, only on goal difference, so only 6 points now separate the bottom 8. So that's going to be a very interesting game, and there'll be relegation 6-pointers every week, so certainly exciting stuff. Quick look at my game week, and then we'll have a look ahead. So I played my bench boost, so I'd set my wild card up back in game week 26 to try and set up for this double game week, and also cover the blank, of course, in 28 as well. But yeah, it worked out well. I played my bench boost, and I went in with 13 double game week players, just Saka and Kane amongst the singles, and I did pretty well overall. I scored 138 minus 4 points and came out with a 134 point net, and I went up from 212k to 133k this week, so it was a nice green arrow. I've gone up, actually, I was in a bit of a doldrum with a run of red arrows at 357k just 3 weeks ago, but 3 green arrows have moved me now from 357 to 133, so it feels like I'm back in the game now with a free hit to come as well, so a bit more positive after the last 3 weeks. Always a bit of a risk, of course, playing your bench boost straight after an international break, but I thought I was very fortunate, as most people were, in avoiding significant injuries, which could have really made a bit of a mess of those bench boosts, created some extra big hits, but we got away with it. So the bench boost worked well. I captained Rashford. I had good points from Watkins and Tony. Trippier came in with a big score. My double Chelsea defence managed 1 clean sheet. My double Newcastle defence got 1 clean sheet. So the only disappointments, I think, really, I brought in Maddison, and I brought in Luke Shaw, and of course Luke Shaw looks as though he's picked an injury up, so that's a bit of a problem. So the 2 players I brought in combined for excuse me, very disappointing scores this week. So but certainly a good week overall, very happy with that. So straight on to game week 30. So it's single game week, so a normal game week, and we're not going to get many of those. We've got 9 game weeks left. We've got 5 normal game weeks. We've got a blank in game week 32 when only when 4 teams miss out. Manchester United, Man City, Brighton and Chelsea will be in the FA Cup semi-finals. So my plan in that blank game week 32, because I'm fairly heavily invested in those players, and they've also players who I want as well, because they've got upcoming double game weeks as well. So my plan will probably be to not worry about game week 32, because I like those players, and I'll free hit game week 32, and then concentrate on the double game week in 34, which will be the biggest of the remaining game weeks. Double game weeks, we'll probably get doubles in 34 and 37, and possibly in 36. But it's a normal game week this week, so all eyes will be on Erling Haaland, of course, and the training photos and what Pep has to say, although we can usually guarantee that he's very non-committed on his Haaland comments, isn't he? No doubt we'll get a "we will see." But as it stands at the moment, I'm probably looking to bring in Erling Haaland for Ivan Toney, unless we get pretty negative comments. Whether or not I start him and captain him, or start him without the armband, will depend perhaps on the vibes we're getting coming out of Manchester City. But I think I'll probably bring him back in. Quite a tough one selling Ivan Toney because he's very highly owned in the upper reaches. But certainly don't want to sell Ollie Watkins, don't want to sell Harry Kane. He's got two very attractive home fixtures coming up now. So I'll probably bring Haaland back for Toney if I do bring him back this week. Could always roll and do that move next week and play Toney this week, of course. But elsewhere, I'll give Maddison another chance against Bournemouth, but he probably might have to go in game week 31. Whether or not I move him to Bruno Fernandes, I had that choice of Maddison or Fernandes this week, and they actually both blanked twice, so that didn't matter in the end, even though that was probably the decision I wrestled over most over the week, but they both blanked twice. So I could move Maddison in 31 to Bruno, probably have to take a hit for that to accommodate it, or I could of course move Maddison to Grealish, and that would avoid a hit. So looking further ahead, probably want Mo Salah for game week 34, so whether or not I move Kane on to accommodate that, we'll have to see, but there's certainly a lot to think about before then. So the immediate focus is game week 30. Captaincy will be tough. I'll either captain Erling Haaland if I bring him in this week, or I could captain Watkins. He's got a home to Forest. Could captain Harry Kane at home to Brighton, although I could easily captain Marcus Rashford at home to Everton. I think if I don't captain Haaland, it will probably be Rashford, because his effective ownership, including captaincy, will probably be well over 100%, so he'll lose your rank if you don't captain him. So I think it'll be between Haaland and Rashford, assuming that I bring Haaland in. So there we go. So there's certainly a lot to think about. If you want to follow my team a bit more closely, I'll be doing these videos once a week, so if you subscribe to the channel and like the video, that will help. And you can also follow me on Twitter at FPL and I will be writing weekly articles for Fantasy Football Geek website. I'm a contributor on there, so you can follow that. Some excellent contributors in there, with very, very good managers in there who return in very consistent ranks every year. I went up in all my mini leagues this week, apart from the Contributors League, so that just tells you how tough the Contributors League is. So be sure to have a look at Fantasy Football Geek website as well. So there we go. So we're not far off the 15 minutes, so I wish you all the best in game week 30. I hope you had a good bench boost in game week 29, or a green arrow, whatever you did, and I wish you all the best for game week 30. We're in the final push now. Only got 9 game weeks to go, so I wish you good luck, and I wish you a happy Easter for the upcoming Easter weekend. So I'll leave it there. I'll get back to my Yorkshire countryside and my morning walk. So I'll see you next week. So as they say in Barnsley, I'll see thee.